I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erika.
And this is the Her Podcast.
We are chatting about something that the three of us have all navigated. How our friendships and friendship dynamics have shifted or been affected because we are entrepreneurs. We cover the highs, the lows, the misconceptions people have about our chosen paths, the sacrifices we've made, the support systems we have, and the hard impact of not feeling supported by the people we love. We are celebrating and facing hard truths today. You guys are going to want to get into this one. It's juicy. Let's go.
That is a really good top. I'm glad. I know that it was impulsive, but I, for one, I'm very happy about it.
It's so cute.
Thank you for helping me.
You're welcome.
She pulled it off.
Did you buy other things?
I bought these jeans.
Okay, just like the whole outfit. You're looking so cute today.
You know how you just feel in a fresh fit?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm going to be in the hot seat. And I was like,
I need
you just
a fresh
want
fit.
Fresh fit to just get behind the mic and give you that energy.
I feel like I wear the same fits every day. I
No,
was like, should I wear another blazer or a sweater vest?
Yeah.
We went to H&M and I bought the pink blazer you had. And then I bought another one.
What color?
It's like bubblegum pink, kind of.
So you bought two
pink blazers.
Yes.
Great. I also have two pink blazers.
Well, now I have three. I have four. But I said I would give one. We swapped. She bought me one yesterday and I was like, you can have my other one.
So many abundant pink blazers.
They had a lot of pink stuff in.
They had a lot of pink.
Yeah, purple.
I would love just to
Which pink is the color blue. I need to quickly correct something. Yeah. You know, my solo session, my solo episode where I was like, Givenchy did this pink. It was not them. It was Valentino. And I felt
good, because I was like, that's
on the edge of
so
my
wrong.
seat.
Do you want to know what though? For me, listening to that as someone who loved that collection, I was like, I loved that collection so much, and then I got the wrong designer, and I was like, that was so stupid. And then I was like, it's Valentino. And the reason I'm saying it is because of all the pink in H&M is 100% inspired by what Valentino did. Okay, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about friendships in business. That's not correct. I said it wrong.
Say it again.
Friendship shifts.
Start again.
Okay,
Friendship
great.
ships.
Friendship ships.
Burn the ships. Burn the ships.
Yeah, burn the ship.
Yeah,
I also like that was really good.
Well, to me, that's the same as like I guess burning bridges has a different connotation because burning bridges is like.
But I had never heard
Disconnected.
that burn the ship because then you were like, because then there's no way back. We got to do it.
It was like an explorer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should literally Google it so
Yeah.
we're not sounding like
I
idiots.
loved that.
Okay, start again.
Okay, so today we are taking an honest look into how entrepreneurship affects our relationships.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Mostly, I think we had started talking about friendships and shifts in how when you are an entrepreneur, your life shifts and looks different.
Yeah.
You don't have a 9 to 5. You don't have a quote unquote balanced schedule. Right? Yes. Probably nobody has a balanced schedule, but do you know what I mean? It's not a Monday to Friday. It's not a 9 to 5. It's, my friend Michelle and I always say like entrepreneurship is a 24/7 gig.
Yeah.
It just
100%.
is, and I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years. I started when I was in my mid-20s and my friendships looked a lot different then because we were young. We went out. We, had more social engagements and stuff like that then. And so I felt like I shifted over the years up and down and back and forth. And it definitely impacted my friendships, not being able to do things necessarily or have the funds to do things because I was pouring my money back into the business or, all that kind of stuff. We just kind of thought, what an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys are in the entrepreneur field, obviously, as well, but a little bit more recently and a little bit later in your lives, like in your 30s, right?
I mean, I think Erika started earlier than I did, for sure. Like, you've done entrepreneurship earlier.
And again,
I had a traditional
management
background, in a traditional 9 to 5 sort of job at the beginning of my career. So yes, for me, it is more recent within the last 3 years. Yeah.
I think it's like interesting because I reflect on like not that I was like an entrepreneur as a child, but I like really reflect on like how I operated as a kid, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I see that now. Like I was always the kid who like had a lemonade stand. I was always the kid like looking to sell something, like looking to like make that right. Like I was like, how do I like? I was always coming up with business plans. And at the moment, I would never have been like, I'm coming up with a business plan. But now I'm like, oh yeah, like
that's what that
was, is me being like, this would be a good idea, or like that we should do this as like a kid. And then I think there was like different tastes of entrepreneurship, like where not a full entrepreneur, but like running your own business, that you like had to learn how to do certain things yourself. Right. And then, but yeah, no, I think I got interested in the topic because you and I talked about how our relationship really started to grow through our business, because we're always like, we've been friends for so long, and then it's
just
like
feels that way when you're so integrated.
Yeah. Well, back it up for a second, because I think we probably have talked about it, but in case people don't know, how are you guys related?
Yeah.
CJ is my husband's cousin.
Yeah. So you've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Correct. Before you got into business together.
Well, yeah. And even our friendship, like for me, I keep thinking CJ and I have been like really good friends for like 10 years. And I'm like, I think it was only right before the pandemic. It was March of 2020, because I came to Calgary.
I trust you. You're better with timelines.
Yeah. I came to Calgary, and the next weekend, everything shut down.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say the next weekend we became best friends.
No, I mean, we had been spending time together, but, and then in that course of time, we hung out a lot and we spent a lot of time together. And so then
it feels longer than it is.
Yeah.
Well, we say the same thing about you and I, Erika, too.
Yeah.
Like, because we met because of business.
Yes.
And then, so that's how our friendship started too. So it's really interesting. Have you found that once stepping into the entrepreneurship field, you have developed friendships with other entrepreneurs?
I don't know if friendship is the right word.
Okay.
Or like a present company excluded. And there are some people that I'm like thinking about. I'm like, okay, no, like I'd consider them a friend. I think I've made a lot more like connections or acquaintances.
I think connections is a good word.
Yeah. Like I'm like, I want to be very careful about, I'm trying to be very intentional this year with the word friend and like who I would like consider a friend. And that's not to slight someone else. It's just to value those relationships, you know, the way they should be. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I think that's where I am right now, is actually really figuring that out, is figuring out my friends in this space and figuring out like how to build those relationships, because I think they're important.
Well, it's almost like a transition phase in your life, right? Like when you like go off to college, or you get married, or you have a kid, or you get a new job, or you move to a new city, right? Like entrepreneurship feels like, to me, one of those sort of milestones where all of a sudden you're in a new space, right? And so your friendships can shift around that. And have you found, Megan, that your friendships have stayed the same throughout your entrepreneurship journey?
So I think if anything, I've added to my close friendships.
Great.
I'm very fortunate that when I decided to start my first business, like my friends rallied around me, and they made, we had some, I think that there was some conflicts and some, you know, lack of understanding in a sense of my commitment level to my business meant that I couldn't do other things, and or the money that I now did not have because I owned a business meant that I couldn't do certain things. So there was probably, and I mean, this was again when I was in my mid-20s, there was probably some, like, I just remember being so poor.
Well, it's probably like it's like that, and I'm just going to speak, I don't know what that experience was, but it's like that pain point, right? Or when you're the friend who's like, oh, my friend can never go out.
Yes.
And I never go out, right?
And I was that friend, some of the time. And but like, then that being said, like, I just remember being so poor, like not being able to like, you know, like my friends would be like, do you want to come shop my closet? Like, it was just like, they rallied around me in different ways. My friends have always been extremely supportive of whatever I do. they're some of my best customers. Like, I promise they are the ones that have the original Elizabeth Lynn pieces that like are so ugly. But they bought them and they were cool at the time. Like, I went out to Regina this weekend with a group of my high school girlfriends that were also friends. And I would say that everybody was probably wearing Elizabeth Lynn. And one of the girls was like, hey, can you bring me this necklace I'd like to try? And then everyone else chimed in, and I just grabbed a bunch of stuff and brought. And then like, so it's like, I'm at the point now where if my girlfriends come, you know, for a coffee, or if I'm out for dinner with them, I might as well just bring jewelry in my purse because they all want to buy it.
Yeah.
That's
and they are
amazing.
all listening right now. I know they are, because
Shout out.
they tell me all the time what they loved about each podcast episode and who was their favorite and all of this stuff. So like, I'm very fortunate that I've always been surrounded by very supportive people and very supportive friends in my business. And like, you know, some of my best friends have helped me through the ups and downs of the business. They would come over and stamp bags, shout out to Haley, and work my market booths and, you know, organize the studio. And
So question for you. When you first started out, this is an honest question. Were you inviting some of them into your journey of entrepreneurship? Were you being like, hey, come help me with this? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, were you pulling them in a little bit, or were they actually taking the step towards you? Because what I'm finding is maybe some people aren't taking the step towards, and if I invite, it's not being reciprocated back. So I'm like, from your experience, what was it like?
My people know me very well, and I am not a person to ask for help a lot of the time. Or I get very wrapped up in what I'm doing. So generally it's known that like, if I haven't heard from Megan in a while, let's shoot a text, or she's not responding in the group chat, one of the girls will text me and be like, hey, you know, or, what do you need? And if it's like, I don't know what I need, they'll just show up and be like, put me to work.
You have a beautiful community around you.
I
then.
really do. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
I have people who love me very much and want to see me succeed, and that understand that for me, everything is emotionally involved. So if I'm overwhelmed, they're sitting back and watching me be overwhelmed and not be in a good space. So they're gonna be like, I can see this probably needs to be done, or like, what can I take off your plate that you don't have to teach me how to do it? Because Erika knows this. I like to hold all of the things.
Yeah.
You know, I was a solo entrepreneur for a really long time, and I like to do everything. So in order to invite people in, I don't know if I naturally am like, come hang out, or like, I don't know. That's a really great question. I think that there has been times where they probably are like, what are you doing now? You know, like, here she goes again, but they still, you know.
Well, and are most
jump
of
on
your
board.
friends like physically close?
I have a lot that are physically close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some that aren't, but still like FaceTime or text messages. Like, it's funny. I have this, there's two of my friends that aren't friends together, but separately are just those people that like can feel you. And I'll literally just get a text being like, how's it going over there? Right. Or like just a little heart emoji, just checking in. And like, that to me is the support that means so much. Just the check-ins are like, hey, do you need a coffee drop off? Or like, you're so busy, I'd love to see you. Can I come? What night are you working late? You know, that sometimes it's not even a matter of, I'm running a business, please come to my events, please buy my product, please listen to my podcast. A lot of the support that is required for people who are an entrepreneur is those tiny little check-ins. How are you
Literally.
doing?
Yeah.
Hey,
It's like emotional support is like way more important.
Absolutely.
True.
You just nailed it. Emotional support is the most important
I mean,
piece.
don't get me wrong.
Please buy
Bring
my
your
stuff.
money.
Buy me gifts, support me.
Like, subscribe, and follow the
Leave a
podcast.
review.
But
Share it with your friends.
you know, and that's the other thing too, is like, I have this whole other, you know, I think speaking as person who's, it's kind of a weird topic to like make friends when you're an adult sometimes. But I'll speak to when I went to Susie School and became friends with this group of women that we all had that shared experience, and you connect with people on a certain level sometimes when you're older and you're in that shared experience. But also to know that I have this text message thread of this group of women that I can be like, I just dropped a new line. Can you please post? That, that is instant support as well. So I think it comes from a lot of different areas. It's not just monetary, like you said, emotional.
Well, I think we've established Megan has a wonderful community.
I know. I'm sitting here and I'm like, in a very beautiful way, I'm like, wow, like just, that's amazing.
How are you?
Well, and I've met a lot of your community, actually. I've met a lot of your community, and they're sweet. And I will give I want to ask CJ something, but I will give a quick nod to Megan's community, who have embraced me quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Just being in the space. And now when some of her people come by and I'm not around and then I show up later, I'm like, what? Or they'll bring Megan a coffee and I'm like,
here.
they're just so sweet. So, Megan does have a really beautiful community, and that's been really fun to see.
Yeah.
I'm curious on CJ, because this is funny for me, because CJ and for the record, not a lot of people know this, CJ lives in Calgary and she drives out once a month.
She's an angel.
We still are talking to people who I feel know us quite well and are like, you're not from here.
We literally were at the mall yesterday. We won't name names, but someone was like, what? You're not living here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we obviously put off the persona, which is why we talk about it every once in a while. But if you miss that, you miss
we always say we're back together. Anyways.
Yeah.
So CJ kind of like rolls in and like gets very integrated into my life. She knows my friends know her. But in like my head, CJ has no friends other than me.
CJ, do you have other friends?
No, this is like
I'm your friend.
I'm not trying to be like a wiener about it. I'm literally like, because we're so integrated here that like even every once in a while she'll be like, oh, I saw a friend, and I'm like, who? It's the friend in your head.
Do you get jealous sometimes?
Is Ben your friend?
Oh, 100%. He's my best friend.
Aww.
Yes, absolutely. He's my best friend. I've gone through an interesting transition because I obviously, you go through high school, whatever, you have friends. As soon as I graduated and was 18, I left and went to Australia, and I went and did school overseas, and I traveled and I did some things. And then I came home, and then I went to a college, and then I went back overseas to another program, and then I got married, and then I went to the US. And so I've been all over. And so I actually feel, sorry, I said that really fast.
No, but I was like, I just learned a lot there that I didn't know.
Yeah. And I'm like, so actually a lot of my friends are not in my vicinity. And the friends that I do have, who was I talking to? Maybe my husband about this. I was like, I make a lot of friends through work.
Yes.
So it's been interesting to not have a physical location in Calgary where I'm working. And those friends that I previously had where I worked, in Calgary, Alberta, BC, whatever, a lot of them have moved away. So I don't know if this is like outing myself, but I'm like, I have one couple friend in Calgary that's like literally close. And then the furthest would be outside of Calgary. Shout out to my other couple friend. But I'm like, and then they just start to disperse from there. So I'm like, I actually don't have a lot of people which is why I asked you about the physical location, if your friends are in a physical location. And Ben and I were overseas in Asia with the intent to stay overseas. We sold our house, we left our jobs, full intent, like backpacks, took them overseas, sold most of our possessions.
Are you a maker, crafter, or small business owner in the baby space? Then I need to tell you about B&B Craft Supplies. Owned and operated in small town Saskatchewan, B&B Craft Supplies is North America's largest wholesale supplier of specialty silicone beads. All of their products are BPA-free, PVC-free, 100% non-toxic, and made of food-grade silicone, so they are super safe for baby. As a new mom, founder and creator Jade fell in love with making silicone teethers as a creative outlet. She built a thriving business, and when it became too difficult to source the quality supplies she wanted, she took matters into her own hands and became the supplier. B&B offers hundreds of bead options, allowing you to get creative without having to hit minimum order quantities. Shop silicone beads in a huge variety of colors, textures, shapes, and prints. Solid colors, tie-dye, sparkle, floral, you name it, you guys, Jade has it. Get creative and get support from a wholesaler who is here for you. Visit B&B Craft Supplies on Instagram at B_and_B_craft_. bead_supplies to get inspired, and head to bnbcraftsupplies.ca to shop the hundreds of bead and tether options.
And so we ended up coming home because I don't know if I've said this before, but my father-in-law was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And so we came home to help with the family and with transitioning through that. So Ben and I came home and we were like, I don't know if we're going to be home for a season, a period.
Right.
I don't know what this is going to look like. And so we actually, fast forward now, we've been home for like 4, maybe almost 5 years, haven't invested locally in some of the stuff that we could have because we didn't know how long we'd be there. And so then in hindsight, you look back and you're like, I probably should have connected with some people in some community. And the community that I did have actually moved during the pandemic. Like I have friends that went over to Europe or like, you know, transitioned to other places. So, and then it's an interesting another layer because Ben and I would like to be in Saskatchewan because that's where our business is, but
Yes,
we're not
please.
here. Right. And so I'm like, do I create community? But like my week when I'm here is such a whirlwind. Right. And I'm like, I do absolutely make connections, but I'm like, it's not on the same level of sitting down and having that one-on-one coffee with someone.
Yeah.
So we're taking applications for friends for CJ while she's here.
Pretty cool
So
sometimes.
she's not just hanging out with me or her mom.
She's great.
I'm like, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's okay too.
I know. No, I think it's interesting, right? And I think you spoke to something, which is, sorry.
We're getting used to the new
we should
mics,
say
you
to
guys.
we're getting used to these new mics and they just like sound like you're underwater when you like hit them. Like a submarine.
Because
Anyways.
we're mermaids now.
I kind of love that.
Mermaid.
That's another venture of the ASMR. We could just sit here and ding, 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 ding.
No, I think it's interesting that you hit on, because, okay, our focus today is about relationships and how they shift in entrepreneurship and whatever. But I think you did hit on something interesting, which is like work friends. And I sometimes have always found that I think my work friends are closer to me than they really are. Have you ever found that?
Oh.
Like, because you spend so much time together, and then as soon as you quit your job, you're just like, sayonara.
Do they come with you or not?
Yeah.
I feel
The
like I
good ones
haven't
come
worked
with you.
I haven't worked with other people aside
In a
from you
while.
guys in a while.
Yeah.
But even so, like Erika
Other than CJ.
and I work together
Hello.
with Elizabeth Lynn as well, but you used to come into the studio all the time and now you don't. And then so sometimes we just like text each other and it's like, hi,
Yeah, hey,
miss you.
hey.
How's your face? Because
Yeah.
we got so used to being together all the time that then, yeah, like it's strange. And then I'm like, well, I'm just over here by myself.
Yeah.
But we
So-
also get more work done when we're not together.
Yeah. So with your like, we've established CJ has 2 friends in Calgary, a couple friends. Are they very
and 2 here.
supportive? I've never asked you about that, like how they are about your business, because they have very my gosh, everybody. I gotta stop with my hands. They have very traditional jobs, your friends.
Yes,
Right?
they do.
Like teachers and doctors.
Yeah. Yes, they have traditional jobs, but they also have one or both of them in the couple of each couple of my 2 couples. Oh my gosh, I'm making this so confusing. Also have a little bit of entrepreneurship
Oh, okay.
in them that they have done and started
Okay.
businesses on the side.
That's cool. Do your friends actively support your business or do they understand what you're doing?
Yeah, that's like a great way to say it.
I think that my friends are very supportive of what I do. I think that there's a portion of what I do that they don't understand.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so I think what I do on a day to day, right? And my husband's voice is in my head right now. And he's like, CJ, you don't talk about what you do a lot. Like I hold my
Yes.
cards very close.
I would argue you hold your cards very close in general.
She has her cards in her back pocket. You can't even see them.
I'm
They're
sorry,
camouflaged
friends.
with her jeans right now.
Nobody knows.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay.
Nobody knows. You know, and so my inner circle is like very, very small and tight knit and fortified or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like a little fortress. So even my close friends,
Like they just don't quite,
Understand.
which I feel like no matter how supportive friends are, including yours, if you're not an entrepreneur,
You don't get it.
you don't get it. And
well,
that's
that you have
not
to work for your money, right?
right. Like we were talking about this is that I'm like, my friends do not understand that if I don't do that, I don't get money.
Yes.
My
And
kids won't
like
eat.
I won't get my kids clothes. And that's dramatic because I'm like, my friends could be like, well, if I don't go to work, I don't get money. I'm like, yes. I'm like, but you have people who have built a company.
We do
Those
not
people put in a
have
lot of work.
guaranteed income.
No, we do not. We don't. I mean,
there's the difference.
well, and I'm like, sick days.
What's a
I
sick
don't,
day?
I don't have a sick day.
What's a holiday?
What's a holiday?
I mean, the amount of times that I text you guys and I'm like, so tomorrow's a holiday. Like, are we working? Cause like, and then you
Literally.
guys are like,
Yeah.
it's a holiday. I'm like, yes, the entire world, or I shouldn't say world, our entire province is taking a break tomorrow. And we're like, sounds like a great day to get some stuff done. Like,
January 2nd. Did not know until that morning when Andrew's like, I guess nobody's going to work today. I'm like, why?
no, it's,
Say
it's,
who?
so,
Because it's
yeah.
an in lieu. And I was like, what's that about?
Yeah.
I totally,
Yeah.
yes. If you're not an entrepreneur, you can be extremely supportive. Yes. But you just, and it's not a negative thing. If you're not an entrepreneur, you just can't fully understand
Well, and I think
it.
I just have a hard time relating to some of my friends, right? Because I'm like, you know,
okay.
that bond and that relationship that you had is often over shared experiences or shared
Yes.
values or shared whatever. And as I've stepped into entrepreneurship, I feel like that's so big in my life. I'm like, that's such a huge piece now of who I am.
Yeah.
Right. And so when people ask, I'm like, how do I even put this massive thing into words, you know, and even begin to explain what my day-to-day looks like, what the challenges are, what, you know, because when you talk about posting and having clients and they're like, oh, what, you know what? Who is that? You know, a podcast, all the work that goes into a podcast.
Yeah.
They're like, great, you sit behind a mic. Like, should I listen to that? You know what I mean? And I'm like,
yeah, you should listen to it.
it takes so much more effort than what you actually see. Like, we are
Yes.
out here hustling, right?
Yeah.
So, Erika,
Well, and I want to just quickly say, because I don't want us to sound like we're like jerks
We're not
on
complaining.
here. Because I think there's lots of people who aren't entrepreneurs who work extremely hard
Oh, of
and like
course.
Yes.
they went to
Yes.
school and they put in the time and the
Thank
money.
you.
I just think not having guaranteed income is a different level. And I fully acknowledge I chose
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
Like, I'm also not sitting here being
And
like,
love
woe
it.
is me. I love it.
Yes.
But I'm like, the pressures I feel, I think are significantly different than my friends who get a week of holidays.
It's a different element. Like there's many layers to it.
And there's
like any
beautiful
job.
parts about entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Because you're right. I don't get guaranteed income, but I could text CJ and say, I have 5 appointments today and I'm just so like,
see
you
ya.
know, so
Yeah.
that there are absolutely benefits. So I just wanted us to make sure we're not like, oh, woe is me when we've chosen this field.
Not what was
Oh,
me
yeah.
and not,
Not at
shaming
all.
other people
not
at
shame,
all.
but just
openly
this
talking
is our
about.
podcast and this is our experience.
And we're going to talk about what we want to talk about. Just
Yeah.
actively saying there are challenges. And,
Yeah.
and this is a common challenge that
Yeah.
we have found together and
Yes.
through chatting with other entrepreneurs as
Yes.
well. Just you navigate things a different way.
yeah.
So what has been your experience, Erika, with your friends as you have really, again, you've had this entrepreneurial spirit we've established, but I'm like, as you've really jumped in and fully embraced that, you know, and become a serial entrepreneur.
Because
Yeah.
you do fully jump in too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which they should be used to. But
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I'm going to get emotional.
you go for it. Safe space, honey.
That'll be a long pause to edit.
Coming through, our girl always coming through with the jokes. I'm like, we can just, I'm like, I'm
I know.
comfortable to sit
She's
here
gonna
because
like
I'm like,
really
I'm like, is it emotional? How do I make it funny?
yeah. No, feel it.
Let's
Feel your
dive
feelings.
into that.
That's a
projections.
trauma response,
That's a
my
trauma
friend.
response.
Yeah.
No, this is what I think.
No, I'm going to cry.
I'm going to be.
It's really hard to have really good friends
In
and then
general.
jump into a new space and not feel supported in the way that you thought that they would show up for you, and in the way
Especially-
that you have shown up for them.
Yes, I was just going
And
to say.
to not have that reciprocated just is a really icky feeling, because you're like, what actually is our friendship then?
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think like I'm.
Take your time.
It's a new noise right there. Dolphin. It was like my. It's like my snot going up my nose.
When dolphins cry, isn't that a song?
Yeah. Okay, I need to get it together.
From the
This
early
is-
90s?
This is what I think. I think I didn't come today to be like really honest, and now I'm just like,
Let's be honest.
yeah. And I think it's like I'm I always say this because I'm like, I don't want to make myself sound so awesome, but I'm like, I'm a very supportive friend.
Oh, yes.
And I go the extra mile for a lot of people.
Yep.
And I think what I've been surprised by is relationships that I really have invested in, or I've taken the time to like go above and beyond. And I've found not just not support, but it almost feels like they're not just like not buying from me. It's like they're not clapping for me. Like it's, you know, that idea that's like, I am noticing the people in the room who are not clapping. Like I see that. And I think, and that's the analogy I give, because I think I'm the first to stand up and get really excited for my friends with their accomplishments. Even when they're like so small, I'm just like, oh my gosh, right? Like I send messages, like I share when people have launched something, and I think I'm very surprised at the fakeness of community I've experienced. And maybe that's bold, and maybe I'll get some flack from people being like, what are you talking about? But I'm just like, I think I've really reflected in the last specifically year, but especially since we launched Carousel.
Yeah.
But what, I don't know if our listeners know, like I've had other businesses, like I've actually had other businesses that were smaller scale. So I think I didn't notice when people weren't really supporting them because they were kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
On the side.
well, they were like on the side and they weren't my main gig.
Yeah.
But I have friends who do not ask me how work is going.
Yeah.
Like I have friends who aren't like, what's new with you? How are things going?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think I'm very surprised at that. I think becoming an entrepreneur changed a lot. Like I was a stay-at-home mom until I was doing Carousel basically. So I went from being extremely available to my friends to not being available at all, which is a pain point and a struggle for people.
Yep.
But I think I'm still a friend who like shows up.
Oh, 100%.
And I still am like, I need to see that person. I need to connect. How do I do these things? And so I think I've been very surprised. I think it was like running into a brick wall and being like, oh, like, I don't even know if it's that you don't care. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I have no idea if this is true, but I'm like, it doesn't even feel sometimes like they don't care. And I'm just like it doesn't matter. It almost feels like you'd really like to see me not succeed. Like that's what it feels like.
So I'm curious, the friendships that you've experienced that from, are they long-term friendships? Are they newer friendships? Or is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, it's a mixture. I would say it's like, I think I will err on the side of this. No one likes when they've defined you and you step out of it. Like no one likes when they've put you in a box and then you break out of that box, because now they don't understand and they don't know who they are and they have this idea about you. And I've always struggled with this idea that if anyone does anything different, people are like, who does she think she is? What is she? And this is in general, like on social media, especially when you see someone who's like a full-time mommy blogger start doing fashion, people are like, what is she doing? And I'm like, why does it matter? Like she's exploring something. And so I feel that I have felt like I was put into a box and I've stepped out of that box, and now maybe people don't know what to do with me.
Here's what I'm going to say to that. When you do something for yourself or something different, or say something or whatever the case may be, and other people don't react in the way that you're saying, when other people are like, who do you think you are? What is she doing? Or gossiping behind your back or whatever it is. My question to them is, what about what I'm doing is making you feel uncomfortable? Because that's a them thing.
It's
and we
absolute-
know that.
Well, and like, I don't sit here and I'm like, oh, I'm the problem. I'm actually fully sitting here being like, you're the problem. This is not like, I will own up to what I need to own up to in relationships and problems. I'm actually very good at that.
You are.
But I'm like, that is not mine. There is something going on with you, but it's now impacting me in a way that's like really hurtful. And so I think when I'm experiencing as an entrepreneur is
It's good.
It's really good.
It's really healing for you to talk about
Yeah.
and be open.
I think I've like really isolated myself.
Yeah.
Okay. In what way?
Like I'm not I'll go to like I do so much for work. And we were just talking about this. Like I don't do much for like play anymore. Cause I'm like, any event I'm going to, I'm probably going solely for work. Like
Right.
I'm like, I do not view this as like a
Me
girls'
just
night
going.
out.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is work. Like I'm going to network. I've been invited by someone because of who I am on social media. Like this is work. And so I've actually really, and I'm extremely happy to be like on the farm and with Nick and Harvey and my children. Like that's wonderful. I'm having a very
Harvey came before the children.
do you want to know last night Nick came and was like, where's Harvey? And I was like, Harvey's sleeping on the bed. And Nick said, did you check on the other kids too? And I was like, do you mean the kid? And he's like,
Let's be real. Harvey is Nick's little baby.
he's like his little
Such a
cute.
baby. It's
Such
so
a baby.
cute.
Hey everybody, it's Erika here. As you've probably realized by now, I have a serious passion for fashion. Putting together outfits for myself or even my girls here on the Her podcast is a creative outlet for me. I absolutely love it. I always find that the cherry on top of any outfit is a good piece of jewelry. I would say that 99% of my jewelry closet is Elizabeth Lynn jewelry. That shouldn't come as a surprise to you guys because of the design and the quality of it. I'm actually currently wearing 4 of her pieces right now, which include my new favorites, the Chelsea Huggies. They're sparkly and dainty. I can wear them under my headphones, so I absolutely love them. I also highly recommend checking out the Erika hoops. Obviously, I actually gifted them to CJ this year for Christmas, and she's a big fan. You can find things like bracelets, necklaces, earrings, everything you need to complete the look for your day. I love that her pieces are dainty and you can layer them together to make a statement or keep it simple with just one. Megan from Elizabeth Lynn is absolutely amazing. Obviously, we love her. And she has provided a discount for you guys to shop 15% off. Use code HERPODCAST at checkout to receive 15% off. You can find Elizabeth Lynn Jewelry on Instagram at Elizabeth Lynn Jewelry or head to her website at elizabethlynn.ca. Happy shopping, friends. So I think, and when I say isolating, because I'm still, I think that's hard for people to understand when I talk about it because I'm so like
Extroverted.
extroverted.
Or you appear.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, I'm like, and I've always said this, I'm like an extroverted introvert, right? Like
Yeah.
I like recharge by myself, but I think I'm just getting to a point where it's like so exhausting to go hang around people who I don't feel supported by, who I like don't feel that sense of community. You know, or the flip side of it is, and maybe this is bold to say, and maybe I'll need to edit it out, but I feel like the flip side is I'm experiencing what feels like people wanting to be in relationship with me to get something
For a
from
purpose.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't
And-
think you should edit that out. I think that's a very real topic that I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs experience, and a lot of people who are in the
Yeah.
content creation field or, you know, social
Yeah.
media
Well,
field.
all of a sudden you get big
experience.
enough or you've done something cool enough.
Yes,
Yeah,
people
that
ask
people
me for
are
stuff
like-
all the time.
Which is like wild because we were just talking about this. We were kind of talking about this because I was like, you know, I invite so many people along on my journey.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely like, if I have money, time, energy, and opportunity, and I
Sure.
can bring my friends in, I'm like, let's do it. Like, how can I
Yeah.
like further you? But I'm like, there's something weird about people come knocking when they haven't
Ever knocked before.
ever knocked before or supported you before, and then they come knocking and you're like, I really like, as a Christian, I'm like, I gotta forgive and I gotta like, you know, but I'm like, I just want to slam the door in your face and be like, no, like you have not proven to me that this is valuable.
Well, and I think it's
And
how they
I would
show up.
rather someone just walk up to me and be like, hey, so you do this, I would like to do that.
Can I learn from you?
Can I learn from you?
Can I have coffee with you?
Can I have this from you?
Yeah.
I 100% more honest. I'm like, don't sidestep. Don't, you know, all of a sudden, now we're friends.
Well, because I think you're already slicing through the BS, you know, with your even current friends, right? And I'm like, you don't have the time or energy to now do this with new people that are coming up to you.
I'm like,
you know,
oh
and
my
I
gosh.
think a lot of people are not honest when they come to other people what they actually want.
Oh, like, just
do
say
you
what
want
you
a friendship?
want.
Do you want to learn something from me? Do you want to network? I'm like, that's fine.
Do you want to utilize my community to further your
do you know what I
community?
mean?
Because that's totally fine as well. But if you're honest about it, then we can all be on the same page.
Yes.
Well, and then the honest answer might be, no, I'm not doing that. Or I'll be like,
I can see the benefit in that. Sure.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just, and I sound really sad. Like, I have some friends who are very supportive, actually. I have some who I think about that I'm like, they are I do have some good friends. But I think my number of good friends to the ratio of people that I have been very surprised by is much bigger, right? Like, I'm just like, I think that's been interesting to me.
What I see and what I know about you is that you're an extremely generous person in many
Very
ways.
generous. Yeah.
And to not
I
have,
am.
You are.
You guys.
Erica's the most generous, you guys. Stop fighting the mic.
It's because I'm fixing my mascara because
Your mascara looks great.
Your
So
mic,
I'm like,
you don't
your
have to
mic
touch it.
supports you.
But do you remember, when I can like feel the tears on my
yes.
lashes?
Yeah.
So they feel
Oh, yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm just
You
like,
look great.
literally like trying to.
You're really pretty.
Thank you.
To be generous with people over and over and over again in many, many different ways, and to not have that reciprocated by the people who are taking that generosity is hurtful.
Well, and again, when it comes to business, I'm like, in my line of business, so many of my friends won't buy what I do.
I was going to
Like,
ask you
I'm a
guys about
service
that.
industry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I get it. Like, a lot of my friends aren't in social media. But what I find surprising is I'm like, comment, share, save, listen, recommend. I'm like, these are all $0 attached to it. Right. And what I find very interesting is my friends who know they're not being supportive, and then something will get brought up in a conversation and they have like all these excuses to like why something hasn't happened or like
Because they
why.
know. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I know. And we're just standing here being like, oh, totally. And really what I need to do next time is be like, yeah, it really sucks you're actually not supporting me. That's what I really need to do, is say that in that moment.
Have you had any conversations with people?
Oh no, I'm too tired for that.
That's
We don't
okay.
want to do that.
That's the other side of it. Is I'm like, I
okay.
can't even imagine being like,
Well, this many conversations with this many people. I'm not that I'm making it out to be a grander number, but I'm like, that would feel exhausting.
No, I'm just like, no. Or, so again, I'm like ranting and crying and being like, woe is me. And I'm not. I have a good community. Like, my husband is my number one supporter. Like, he is like all in. He's like, let's do it. You've got it. He listens to every one of our episodes, like, and gives me commentary on what he thought. He watches them on Spotify. Like, he loves them. And that's like the most important thing to me, is that I have his support. And so I think my relationship as an entrepreneur, as this is our topic, I just think I feel like they did a 180. And so now I'm in this phase of building new relationships, deciding if I want to build new relationships, really figuring out who my community is. I really want to be around other people who genuinely want to see others succeed.
Yes.
Like, I mean genuinely, because
Yes.
I think this is a topic on social media that everyone's like clapping and snapping for each other. And I'm like, do you like this?
But are you
really?
really?
And so I really want to find those people. So if you're in Saskatoon,
Hit us
and
up.
you want some cool girlfriends who
We'll
are like,
put a checkbox on your friend application for CJ if you want to be friends with all of us.
yeah, and then if you want to be friends with Erika, we'll give little like bios. You can pick.
Speed friend dating.
friend dating.
But I'm like, I just want to find that community, and I really want to find the people in my life who I can text when I have a big win, and
they're genuinely excited.
so
Celebrate.
excited.
But you know what? We just talked to Susie yesterday,
Yeah.
Susie Holman,
Yes.
right? And she was talking about, what you put out there is what you receive, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, for you and for us and for all of us and for me, I'm like, if this is the energy that we are now going to start putting out, is that we're genuinely happy and clapping for people, and that's our mindset. Those are the people that are going to come to us, and we need to let go of some of the people that are not.
And remember that it's okay to shift vibration. right? If we want to vibrate at a higher frequency and an abundant frequency and wear our pink blazers, and other people aren't comfortable doing that, that's totally fine. But we do, like you said, if we're putting it out, we have to be mindful of the energy that we are around can affect our vibration as well. So if we're hanging out with the people who are not clapping for anybody, that's different than if we're hanging out together and clapping for people, then we're going to attract that.
When I want to hang out with the people who are doing the work.
Yes.
You know,
it's so
I literally
rewarding.
had a long conversation with my mom last night about this. And I'm like, there's just so many people that are stuck in the mud and choosing not to do the work. And I'm like, I'm just sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you are doing the work, 1%, 20%, 80%, I don't care. I want to be around you because you are choosing to better yourself and step forward in that. And I'm like, that's the energy that I want to bring. And if you want to be a better person, you want to work through your crap, I'm like, I'm here to do it too. And if you don't, I'm like, great, come to me when you're ready. But like, there will be a distance between us and not a deep relationship, because that's just nothing that I want to be sucked back into.
Well, and I think people don't really realize the power relationships have on us, right? Like, I think we all have, and I have been that friend that's been a drain on people. Absolutely. Right. Like, I've gone through seasons where I'm like, hi, probably not fun to be around, right? Like, I'm going through something. But I think that's so important to be like, when it's Ed Milet again, and, you know, I don't necessarily want to be like, this is what you should do, but he's always talking about like, you should like not be the best person in the room.
Yes. Surround yourself with
like
better than you.
Surround yourself with people who are like doing more and are pushing more and are going for more, because that energy will feed off you and you'll go for more.
Yeah.
So he would, and again, like, I think there are relationships that are very important and are lifelong, and I have a couple of those. But I think also as women, I've really, other than you, I know you have like a very core, I'm like, I think it's rare to be friends for so long with people.
It is rare.
Right? Like, I think men do it a lot more.
Yes. Childhood friends, men do.
Nick
agree.
is friends with all of his high school friends.
We get that comment a lot, that group of friends.
Yeah, that's very rare. And so I think that's the other thing. And then I think that in general is true with women. And then, and now you've added this layer of entrepreneurship, which is like, it's like,
Can be isolating.
It's like someone with a baby and someone that doesn't have a baby trying to understand. And it's like, you don't understand, because not that you can't empathize or support or like come over and help me with my baby, but like at the end of the day, you go home and you get a full night's sleep and I have a crying baby. So like, this is not the same, and that's okay. And we all have experiences like that. But I think I just really want to connect with cool people.
Same.
I really want to like use my talents to help people. And yes, I will admit, I would love if I can glean from other people too. Like, I'm like, let's have a reciprocal relationship. Right?
So to expound on that, because I know that like the three of us are always doing the work in various ways, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm so curious. And I find this a lot with like talking to Susie yesterday and that whole group of women that I went to the retreat with. That's a commonality. A lot of common, sorry, I said that incorrectly. A commonality I have noticed among entrepreneurs, and women especially, is that personal development and entrepreneurship go hand in hand.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Do you find that your friends who are not entrepreneurs do the same, you know, find that calling to do that work as much?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, some, yes, that are just sort of, I don't know what you would call it, like geared that way. You know what I mean? Even still in a traditional role, but they're still seeking growth. And then some, no. Like, for me, it would be a split. I think that I maybe, without even knowing before becoming an entrepreneur, tried to gravitate towards people who were doing work, whether within or without, right? So even in the traditional settings where I worked, or like some of these schools and traveling that I went to, I think the people that I gravitate towards are those who have an energy of wanting more, wanting better, maybe in one specific area of their life, maybe in all areas, but they're doing something different, and I'm intrigued and pulled into that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I would say the same thing. I think split, right? I think, and again, doing the work, you know, it's such a fluid
Or like a blanket term.
It's such a blanket term to be like, well, what is doing the work? Because for some person, it's like this, and this, and this, and this person. It's like, I do this every day, this one thing. So, I mean, I think that, I definitely have people who are like, always wanting to improve themselves, which is great. But I don't know.
You know what I just thought of?
What? No, yuck. Why'd you make that face?
No, because it's emotional for me.
Oh, I was like, what's happening?
She's uncomfortable.
No, what'd you think of?
No, I was thinking about what you just said, and I was like, you know what? I think that I'm purposefully pushing some people away or choosing distance because I don't want the rejection that you're experiencing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I'm like, I just won't tell you about what I'm doing. I'll just hide this.
You're protecting
Well,
yourself.
it's
I think there's an element of I've done that as well many times and never thought of that's why.
I'm like, it's safer to do that. I'm like, if you want to choose to come forward and acknowledge and clap and you find out, great. But it wasn't me that initiated that and then felt disappointed by your reaction.
Yeah. I did a therapy session, I think before Christmas, maybe after. I don't know. Your girl's in therapy. And we came
clap for that.
I was gonna say, aren't we all?
We should be.
Or we should all. Yeah.
We should go to therapy. No, what in my session, it was like this whole idea that was like, I'm so tired of being excited and telling people my successes and their response being so underwhelming for me that I've stopped telling people when I'm doing something really awesome because I'm so disappointed with feeling disappointed. I'm so tired of it. So I would rather be like, listen, if you're genuinely interested, you will ask. If you're genuinely interested, you'll be excited. But I'm like, I am tired of being excited. And I'm such a physical person. Like, when I'm excited.
Yes.
Like, this is not me being like, I'm doing this thing. I'm so excited. I'm like, guess what?
You're dancing in.
My gosh.
Yeah.
And to have someone be like, oh, that's cool. Or just like, oh, or like, I'm just like, okay.
Brick wall.
Clearly this doesn't matter to you, but you can see it matters to me. So bring the energy for me for like a hot second. It's like when my kid comes home and is like, look at this Lego house I built. I'm like, yeah, I could have built that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. How did you build it? Show me it. What does it do? Oh my goodness, blah, 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 blah. Even though I'm like, it's a Lego house. I could have done that. It's very simple, right? But I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going to be excited for him because he's excited. So I went through this thing in therapy where I was like, I've started to just not tell my super exciting news to people. And I actually went through this thing and I said to Nick, I said, I'm done sharing even what I'm not even my successes or my excitements, but like what I'm doing with people.
Literally.
Because I'm
I
like,
don't tell people at all what I'm doing.
I'm like, because it's just, I'm like, I would just rather quietly do my thing.
Yes.
And be like, I'm over here
living my life,
and there we go.
If you happen to come into my square somehow,
which great. I know sounds weird for people because I'm in that influencer scene, so I share a lot of my life. But I'm like, you'll notice on my influencer page, I don't really talk about work very much.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't talk about, I'll be like, I'm at work or something, but I don't really like dive into
details.
Well,
this has been a great therapy session. Megan's just like, well, what do we do with you two?
I will say this is so great because it's very true. And like I said, I've been an entrepreneur for a lot of years. And so I experienced different things along the way.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at a place where I just do my thing. And if people enjoy it, that's great. And I'm fortunate that a lot of the people in my life are interested and asking questions and are excited for me. And there's also that element I've talked about before where it's just like, I just really don't care what people think.
Yeah.
Which is not to say like, I care that my friends are excited and I care like that means a lot to me, but I guess it's the people, I know who my people are.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I know who my people are and I don't care what people think that aren't my people.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I think what I find a lot of times, and I say to CJ a lot, I'll be like, that's not my people.
Yeah.
That's not my people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll have experiences where I'm like, not my people.
Yep.
Not my people. And again, I'm like, I can be like, that doesn't mean I'm like, bye, I never want to talk to you. It just means that I'm like, I'm probably not going to call you for coffee. Now, I do want to say this because I feel like I've been very negative or like very like emotional. But I'm like, in the last few weeks, I've had a couple women in Saskatoon reach out to me and be like, you've got something going on that seems real cool. I'd like to get to know you and I want to like chill. So I'm kind of going on like 2 dates.
Yeah.
With women,
Friendship dates.
And then, I also think the other part of this is when you do recognize the people in your life who are supportive, like really appreciate them. Like when you, right, like really be like,
Thank you.
It like
means
this means a lot to me. And after this, I shouldn't say I'm going to text people because then my friends are going to be like, I didn't get a text. But, just like I need to do a better job of also making sure that the people who are cheering me on know that I see them and know that I'm like, thank you so much.
But that's a great takeaway for our listeners, even listening right now.
Yeah.
Like, go show support to the people in your life who are showing up for you, because a little text, a little phone call, a little coffee, a little DM, means so much.
Yeah. And also a reminder that in order to support friends who own businesses, I will say that
this
is what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be hiring them for their service, or, just because perhaps what they're doing, I don't want to say isn't of value to you, but it may not be something that you need. It's that emotional support that truly
means the world.
And that it sometimes makes the difference of like, I can keep going doing this because somebody believes in me, or like I felt, we're human beings is another thing I'm going to remind people of. Small business owners are human beings. Entrepreneurs are human beings, and
we all need a little encouragement along the way.
And it's so easy. It's so easy to support people by, like you said, like, subscribe, share, talk about your friend's business. Just say like, I saw you do this and it looked really cool.
Yes.
Ask them about their day. It's the little things that make the biggest difference. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up, and typically we would wrap up with like our questions of like best piece of advice or obsessed, but obviously it's us three. So we want to throw it out to you guys and send us your thoughts and opinions on this subject of like entrepreneurship and friendships, and like what you've experienced on either side. Like, are you a friend who has an entrepreneur? Like, what does that look like for you? Because we're very curious. Obviously, this is just like our opinion and like what we think and what we've been feeling. So we're curious. We're curious on our community.
Yeah. And thank you for letting us be honest.
And thank you for supporting us.
Yes.
Because we see you in our DMs. We see you in our comments. We see you sharing stuff. And as 3 entrepreneurs sitting here who have started this wild journey, we see you and we thank you for that. It's amazing.
You guys are the real MVPs. So thank you.
Yeah.
Snaps for you, everybody.
Snaps.
Look for the application to be our friend.
Thanks. Hit apply now to be our friend.
Apply now to be our friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Link in bio. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.